Summer is here, and while we all love sunshine, our locks can sometimes pay the price. Today we're discussing essential tips for keeping our locks healthy and hydrated during the hottest months. Hey guys, welcome back to the Dreadlock Culture channel. My name is Nadia, and in today's video we are talking about how to keep your locks hydrated during the entire summer. Now we don't want to be adding more to our hair than what it already has or needs, so how do you even know if your locks need to be moisturized? A few symptoms to look out for would be dry locks that just by touch alone, they feel crunchy. Locks that are not shiny, they're lacking luster, maybe they look ashy even. Locks that are shedding or are experiencing thinning or breakage in certain areas. Even locks that are excessively frizzy. During the beginning parts of your lock journey, you are likely to experience quite a bit of frizz. But as your locks mature, the frizziness will go down significantly. And if you're feeling that your locks look a little bit more frizzy than normal, then I would consider that perhaps a reason that maybe your locks need to be moisturized. Also, if your scalp is feeling dry, itchy, or even if it's flaky, kind of like it looks like it has dandruff or something, and that's abnormal for you, then that's something else to consider. And then finally, if you have weak elasticity in your hair, and a quick way to test elasticity is to just grab a hair, just one of your loose hairs, and you want to kind of grab it like somewhere down the middle so that you don't actually pull on your scalp. And take the hair, and with these two fingers, like the thumb and the index finger, you're just going to hold it down. With your other hand, you're going to pull on it, and you're going to feel if it kind of like has an elastic like feeling. It'll have a little bit of give. If it doesn't and it breaks off, then there is a possibility that that breakage, because it doesn't have enough moisture in the hair, it's going to break easily. That's why you kind of just want to test it on one hair. But yeah, do the elasticity test and see maybe one or two different places in your head. If it doesn't have that elastic like feeling, then chances are you may need to moisturize. So now I want to give you 13 tips and treatments that are going to hydrate your locks. But first I want you to keep in mind that we're all different. So something that works for me may not work for you, and vice versa. There's a chance that some of the treatments that I'm going to give you here are going to work wonderfully for you, whereas for somebody else they may not. And so you just want to see what works best for you and what your hair actually responds to. And maybe in the beginning, you're going to have to do a little bit of trial and error until you nail down something that's going to be ideal for your hair routine. But just be patient in the process and see what works best. We all live in different environments. So somebody who lives in a humid environment, their hair is going to respond differently to somebody who lives in a dry environment. Another thing to consider is that we all have different diets, and our diet really impacts our hair health and our skin. Then also the products that we use are different, and how they work on our hair is going to work differently. Our hair textures are different, and also our hair porosity is different, which I talk about hair porosity in a previous video, and you definitely should see that video if you haven't already, because it's basically hair porosity is how our hair absorbs and retains moisture. So it's super important in determining what products we're going to use that are actually going to work on our hair. So if you haven't seen it, I'm going to leave it linked in the description for you to check it out. But that's another really important element in all of this. So first and foremost, we need to consider our health from within. So staying hydrated is crucial, especially during the summer season when we're outside a lot. The sun evaporates moisture and takes it out of our hair and our skin and our bodies. And so we need to constantly be replenishing ourselves with water. And also, you might not even feel that you're sweating, or even if you do sweat, as we sweat, that also takes water away from our body. So make sure that you're drinking plenty of water so that your hair and cells are properly hydrated. The next thing is you want to make sure that you're eating plenty of protein. Our hair is mostly made up of keratin, which is a protein. And so we need to be eating protein in order for our bodies to make stronger hair. And that would be things like eggs or nuts, legumes, salmon and other kind of fish, etc. So make sure that you're just having enough protein in your diet so that your body can create enough strong hair. And now onto the topical treatments. So the first thing that you want to do, and again, I would start slow and see how your hair adapts. And then as you kind of try things out, you adapt and you change your routine. I wouldn't just try all of these treatments out at once and then yeah, you don't want to overdo it, but also you want to see kind of slowly what's working best for you and kind of tailor your treatments according to how your hair responds. So the first thing that you can start with is a water-based moisturizer. An effective moisturizer is going to have three things: a water base, which in our case for dreadlocks would be distilled water; an humectant, which is something that is going to bring in and retain moisture. And for locks, that's going to be aloe vera, that can be rose water, and it can also be vegetable glycerin. Personally, I don't use vegetable glycerin on my hair, but I heard some people with locks use it with success, and then also some people that did not have much success with it. So that's something that you can test out. I wouldn't put a lot of vegetable glycerin just in case, because you don't want to create buildup. But if you choose to use it, then make sure it's USP grade, which just ensures that it is a high quality product, and non-GMO. And then the third element to our moisturizer is an emollient. And that is basically something that's going to seal in the moisture or lock the moisture into your hair. And that could be any plant-based oil. So for locks, I think that something maybe that could be universally used for anyone and maybe work with fairly good success for any type of hair would be jojoba oil. And this is because jojoba closely mimics the sebum that our hair and scalp naturally produces. And so I would start trying with that, and then you can adapt and see what other oils if that's something that you don't like for your hair. I have a whole guide on oils, so I will link that for you. And then, yeah, if you feel that you want to try something else out, then go for it. So for this moisturizer, I would start out by just using the distilled water and an humectant, so either aloe vera, rose water, or a combination of both. Use those two together, and then every morning spray your locks with it. If you feel that throughout the day you're still lacking moisture or it's just not working, then you can maybe incorporate the oil element and see if that helps, and try spraying your hair once or twice a day. The kind of aloe vera that I recommend you use is the one that you make at home yourself, straight from the leaf. And if you're using that, then it's not going to have a preservative. So you definitely want to be keeping your spray in the fridge. But something to keep in mind is that if you add an oil to that, then it's going to harden in the fridge more than likely, depending on the oil. But like jojoba, for instance, will harden in the fridge. So if you're gonna use that at some point, then just make sure you leave it out on the counter for a little bit for the oil to come back to melted temperature. And then you can shake the bottle real well, because the oil and the water are not gonna mix. So make sure that you're shaking the bottle real well, and then you're spritzing your locks with it throughout your locks, however you need. The next thing you wanna do is protect your hair from the sun. And especially during peak hours, so from like 10 in the morning till 4 p.m. when the sun is the strongest, you should try at least to avoid the sun altogether. And if you can't, then cover your locks with maybe a satin bonnet or a satin scarf or something. There's cute ways that you can style it, but if possible, cover your hair, because whenever the sun is directly on it, it's going to pull a lot of the moisture out. Sun and UV cause a lot of problems on your locks, as we've discussed in a previous video. So personally, try to keep them protected. And then if not, actually, you can try one of the recipes that I recommend in a previous video. Again, linked in the description. And yeah, make sure that you're protecting your hair before you go into the sun. On the same note as the silk cap, you want to make sure that you're sleeping with a silk bonnet or something that covers your hair at night. And this is because you don't want extra moisture escaping your hair while you're sleeping. The silk cap specifically will help to retain the moisture in your hair, and it will also prevent frizziness because it reduces the friction with your bed sheets, and also prevents lint and breakage. So it's good for multiple reasons. Another thing that you can do, and this will change based on your climate and your lifestyle, but you can try delaying your washing days between 10 and 14 days instead of maybe every 5 to 7. What this helps to do is to retain all the moisture in your hair for a little bit longer. What shampoo does is it removes a lot of moisture and oils from our hair, which is great because of course we need clean locks. But since we're not using like a conditioner or something after to bring or lock back moisture in, then you can just run the risk of drier locks if you're washing them way too often. If you live in a humid environment, try waiting between 7 and 10 days between wash days. And then if you live in a dry environment, you can try maybe waiting between 10 and 14 days between washing and just see how your hair feels. In my case, my scalp usually starts to tell me when it's time, and I usually can't go more than about 10 days. But if you can delay it, I'm not saying wait an entire month. Like, you want to make sure that your hair is clean for sure, but try to space out a little bit your washing routine and see if it will help retain a little bit more moisture in your hair. When you wash them, you want to make sure that you're using lukewarm water. Hot water is going to damage your hair, and so you want to be using just a mild temperature water just to wash them. And at the final rinse, you're going to rinse your hair off with cold water, as cold as you can handle it. And this is going to help to close the cuticle of the hair so that all the moisture, all the water that got into it is going to stay in there a little bit longer, and it's going to also give you shiny hair. After washing is when you might experience like an extra dryness, and that's again because your shampoo just took a lot of moisture out of your hair. So about maybe an hour or two after you've washed it, when your hair is still damp but not dripping, then use a moisturizer. Personally, I think rose water is ideal for this, but you can make your own moisturizer and choose what ingredients to put in yourself. But anyway, you would put rose water, just spray it all over your locks as you would a daily moisturizer, and that's going to help bring back, again, some of the lost moisture. And then finally, you want to air dry your hair. Of course, straight out of the shower, you want to be wrapping it in a microfiber towel, and that's just going to absorb the majority of the water. But once it's gotten past the point of dripping, then just let them stay loose and let them air dry on their own. You want to avoid any heat or sun at this point as well. So don't sit under the sun to dry them. Just you can sit outside just in a breezy covered area so that it gives your hair enough time to get the wind through it. And if you have to use a hair dryer, then just make sure you're using the lowest heat setting on there. If you've done all those things and you're still thinking, I need a lot more moisture than that, this isn't cutting it, no problem. Here's 4 more treatments that you can try. The first one is a deep conditioning treatment. And for this, you're going to want to do this either the night before your wash day or on the day of your wash day. You want to start by spritzing your hair with water because, again, water moisturizes and oils lock in moisture. Oils alone will not moisturize your hair. So spritz your hair with enough water to just kind of get it a little bit damp or moisturized. And then you're going to follow up with an oil. And what I would do is you take like a large bowl, put some very hot water, maybe boiling water in there, and then inside you're going to put another bowl with the oils of your choice. It could be a variety of carrier oils or one. It depends, whatever you want. Inside that bowl, so you don't want to get water inside the smaller bowl with the oils because that's the hot water is going to essentially heat up the oils in the smaller bowl. Wait a few minutes for the oils to get warm, and then you're going to dab your fingers in there and then just put it all over your scalp, massage it in there, and then if you have any leftovers, I would kind of rub my hands and get it all over my hands and then spread it around maybe the top part of your locks, wherever you feel that you need it. But I wouldn't go overboard. Just slightly, you want to use a very small amount. Less is more. Then you're going to let that sit on your head for about 30 minutes, and then you're going to wash that off. Or if you did it as an overnight treatment, then cover your hair, and then the following morning you would wash it off. If you want to bring this up one notch, then you can take something like this. And this is like a heated cap, and it comes with adjustment of temperature and time, and so you can do this between 20 and 45 minutes. So after you've put all the oils in your hair, then this actually also came with a shower cap. So you would put the shower cap on there, and then you would put this on top, and you would sit with this for however long you chose, between 20 and 45 minutes. And then when the time is up, then you go ahead and wash your hair. Another thing you can do is use aloe vera gel as a leave-in conditioner. And what you can do is take 1/4 of a cup of aloe gel, mix that with 1 cup distilled water, and then put that in a spray bottle and shake it, spray it all over your locks. And then you're going to take a steamer and you're going to steam your locks all over. Make sure that you're getting in between and, you know, getting part of your scalp. You want to hold it at a reasonable distance, because if you hold it too close to your scalp, it'll burn it. So hold it at a reasonable distance, but with the steam, make sure that your hair is absorbing a lot of the steam. And if you have to, you can kind of like squeeze it in there. With your steamer, I also recommend you use distilled water, because if you use filtered or tap or any other kind of water, it can create mineral buildup in the front of the steamer and it can clog it. And so then you might need to replace it sooner. But anyway, once you've steamed your hair thoroughly, I would say maybe 15 to 20 minutes, then let it air dry and you're good. The next thing would be a hair mask. And there's a couple of ways to do this, but definitely I recommend doing it in the shower because it can get very messy. For the first hair mask, you can do 5 tablespoons of aloe vera gel, mix that with 2 tablespoons of coconut milk. And then if you want, like half a teaspoon of vitamin E oil, mix that all up in a bowl or wherever. And then you're going to put it in your scalp, massage it, and then kind of whatever's left over, you can put it into your locks and yeah, get it good in there. Then you're going to let that sit for about 20 to 30 minutes maybe, and then you're going to wash it off. For the next treatment, I recommend you do it in a pitcher like this. So you're going to take 4 cups of hot water and steep a bag of green tea in there. Wait until it goes back to room temperature, maybe 10 or 15 minutes. Remove the tea bag and then add 1 cup of coconut milk to that. And if you want, you can add essential oils just to make it smell nice. Then you're going to take your hair, and you can do this one of 2 ways. You can either sink your hair in there and just soak it all up, and then you're going to use the remainder to pour over your scalp and massage that in. Or you can do something called the squish to condition method. And for this, you're going to need like a bucket that you're going to put on the floor of the shower. And you're going to grab the liquid that's already in here, this mixture. You're going to pour it over your head gently and then massage it into your scalp as best as you can. And then the remainder that go into your locks, massage that really well. Anything that falls into the bucket, then you're going to put it back into this pitcher and repeat the process over and over again until all the liquid has absorbed into your hair. If it takes a long time, maybe you could be there doing that like 15 minutes. If it takes a very long time, then you can just stop at like 15 minutes. But you just basically you want to get all that extra liquid into your hair as much as possible so that it really conditions or moisturizes the inner parts and the outer parts of your hair. Then you're going to leave that on your hair for about 15 to 20 minutes and then rinse it off completely. So in both of the hair masks, you want to make sure that you are finishing your last like wash. You're getting absolutely clear water to make sure that nothing is left in your hair and that it's all washed off completely. Once it's all washed off, then do your final rinse again with cold water so that the cold water seals in the cuticle and then all that moisture is retained within your hair. And last but not least, there's a treatment that I haven't tried, but if I was desperate enough, then I would. And I did some research on it and it seems to have really good reviews across the board. So you can do your own research and decide if this is something that you want to try. But anyway, it's called a co-wash, and the brand that works well for locks to do this is called Locs. I've used their moisturizer before. I have their moisturizer and it doesn't leave residue. It's a good product. And actually their co-wash seems to be just as good. So I don't entirely know the process for it, but I know that you basically put the product in your hair for a little while and you let it sit on your hair and then you wash it off. And as far as I've researched, it doesn't leave residue. With their moisturizer, I've done the patch test and it leaves my skin feeling really soft. It doesn't leave sticky residue or anything like that. So I definitely like their moisturizer. So I think I would like their co-wash as well. The only thing is that if you're sensitive to scents or strong smells, their products are very strongly scented. And so they smell good, but it's extremely floral. And I think it's the ylang ylang. I think they use it in most of their products, but it is quite strong. So if you're sensitive to that, then maybe this wouldn't be a good option. But if that's not something that you care about, then yeah, it could be worth trying. I'm not affiliated or sponsored by the company at all, but I just thought I would throw that option out there in case you feel that maybe that could help if nothing else works. And well, my friends, that brings us to the end of today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you love locks, let me know by leaving a thumbs up in this video. If you love lock content and you want to see more, then please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified whenever I post a new video. And if you're already subscribed, thank you so much for your support, and I'm so grateful to have you here. I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your day. I will see you very soon, and until then, keep rocking your locks. Bye!